Welcome to Life is Meant to be Lived, the podcast. I'm Molly Harper, I'm your host, and I am so excited because this is our first episode. This episode is going to work a little bit different from episodes moving forward. Typically, I'll have a guest that I think encompasses the motto of Life is Meant to be Lived, but since this is our first episode, I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself and why I felt the need to even start this podcast so you guys can understand life is meant to be lived, the motto fully. I'm Molly Harper, as I said already. I was born with cystic fibrosis and POTS. I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis from birth, but I got diagnosed with POTS only about 2 or 3 years ago, although it's something that I have had my whole life. My parents had a hunch that I had CF from the time I was in the womb. There were some weird things that were seen on my ultrasounds. Nobody knew exactly until I was born, but I'm the oldest of my family. And I was born automatically with CF. So from the very moment that I was born, my life looked a little different. And frankly, my family's life looks a little different. After I was born, my parents decided to adopt my siblings because people with cystic fibrosis, it's recommended that we are not around other people with cystic fibrosis because of our weakened immune systems. We catch things that other people don't, and then we're basically just walking petri dishes for each other. So my 2 younger siblings are adopted. I love them with all my soul. I recently got married, so about 2 years ago I got married, and my husband is just the biggest blessing in my life. I absolutely love him. You can usually find me outside with my horses. I am obsessed with my horses, another blessing that came through my chronic illness. So I actually started therapy riding as a kid due to the effects of chronic illness on mental health with kids with chronic illness. And that's how I got hooked, is in my horses and my passion for my life. I now ride competitively, and I'm just obsessed with my horses. They're my safe spot, they're my passion, they're what I absolutely love. I also have a service dog named Zeke. He helps me with my fainting episodes, and he tells me when my blood sugar is low. He's a 3-year-old Doberman, and I am obsessed with him. He is my child. I absolutely love Zeke. My life has not looked typical. From this moment I was born, my life has not been normal. I do 2 breathing treatments a day that take about an hour each. I have nebulizers. I take anywhere between 40 and 80 pills in a single day. I had a feeding tube put in when I was 2, and so I had a feeding tube from the time I was 2 until I was 16. Because I couldn't keep weight on by myself. All of these things change you and the way that you think. They put experiences in your life that shape who you are as a person. I have CF. CF does not have me, but the experiences that it provides in my life do shape me. Growing up with a chronic illness, the question is of what can I do and what can I accomplish is always pretty heavy at the forefront of my mind. It always has been. However, I'm not just gonna sit and watch my life pass me by. I refused to do that. I was blessed with parents that refused to let me do that or to enable me to do that, right? And so they always pushed me to do better, become better, dream bigger, accomplish more. My parents never once lied to me about my condition. From the time I can remember, I was involved in my medical decisions. I remember being 5 years old and my lung function was just spiraling. And I remember having my parents turn to me in this appointment and say, "Molly, we think it's time to get a PICC line and to do a hospitalization. What do you think?" As a 5-year-old, that puts a lot of weight and a lot of emphasis and a lot of responsibility. I didn't always respond perfectly. Sometimes I'd kick and scream and deny my reality, but I was never once lied to. That really helped me to take responsibility for my actions and my life and the things that I needed to do to be healthy enough to do the things that I wanted to do. There will always be people that doubt what I can do, but I surround myself with people that don't. That's been a very important distinction in my life. When I was about 10 years old, I was getting ready to go to the hospital. I've been to the hospital so many times in my life, I can't even count anymore. And right before I got hospitalized, I had a genetic counselor come into my room. I had never heard of a genetic counselor until this, but essentially they were trying to teach me what the odds of someone having CF is, what that means, all the things. This counselor goes through the statistics of some CF, of cystic fibrosis with me. I just got told I'm getting put in the hospital for 2 weeks, so frankly, I'm not really listening to her. And she looks at me and she says, yeah, so essentially, I wouldn't plan much past high school. You know, go to high school, have fun, and then after that, kind of just travel and do whatever makes you happy because nothing's really guaranteed. That moment has shaped so many moments in my life. How are you supposed to respond to that as a 10-year-old? Don't hope, don't dream. That's all I heard. You can't, is what she told me. How do you move on from that? Well, the only thing I could do is prove her wrong. I can sit here and say that now. That's not easy. That moment has haunted me so many times. I've even had times that I believed her. Believing her was the most detrimental thing I could do for myself. It's so easy to spiral from there. Well, if I'm not going to accomplish anything, why even try? Luckily, again, I'm blessed with fantastic parents that held me and loved me and let me know that it was okay to be scared, but it was not okay to not try. Once my parents saw that this horse passion of mine that I have wasn't going away, they did everything in their power to make it so that I could accomplish and try and be competitive in this sport. They bought me a horse named Kitty, and if you know me personally, Kitty is my pride and joy. She is my heart horse. I love that horse. She is what horse girl movies are made of, right? Like, that is my Kitty. Kitty is so fantastic and so in tune with me that 3 or 4 different times I've been close to fainting on the back of her and I didn't know it. I couldn't feel it. And Kitty's a fiery horse. She likes to run. And we would be in the middle of a competition or in the middle of a training session going fast. And all of a sudden, this horse that loves to run comes to a dead stop. I feel bad looking back because I would kick her and try to get her going again, and Kitty wouldn't move. Every single time she's done that without fail, 30 seconds later, I'm unconscious on the ground next to her. That's pretty amazing. I mean, like, that horse is just amazing. I owe so much to that horse. She has carried me in times that I really probably was not healthy enough or strong enough to be on her back. Kitty gives me confidence. Kitty was the horse that taught me that maybe it is okay to dream. Well, fast forward through my life, and health is always an up and a down for me. It always has been, and it always will be. I'm not going to pretend like it won't continue to be a struggle, but fast forward in my life, and I graduate high school. It was really confusing for me. I had let myself believe that there was nothing after high school. I had no plans. I was like, what do I do? How do I move forward? I don't know. Meanwhile, I had kind of started coining this phrase, life is meant to be lived. People would also consistently ask me, especially with my horses, how do you ride when you're sick? How do you do all these things when you're sick? And I'm kind of sarcastic, and so the sarcastic part of me is always just like, what am I supposed to do? Just do nothing? However, I was able to articulate that in a better way, a bit more positive light, and I just kind of would start shrugging and saying, well, life is meant to be lived. And next thing you know, that motto just really stuck with me. It started ending up on my Instagram pages. I've had some cool opportunities to speak places, and life is meant to be lived is what I started centering everything around. I went from this belief that there was nothing after high school to then graduating high school and living my life. So after high school is when I really started to coin this phrase, like, life is meant to be lived, and I am sticking by that. And every time that something gets hard, that motto would just kind of come into my head, and I was like, how can I do this anyway? I've always had to do things a little bit differently from the time I was little. You know, planning treatments around things I wanted to accomplish, hydrating extra before soccer games or horseback riding competitions, setting aside extra time at girls' camps before our days were supposed to start to make sure I had done my treatments before, are just a few of the many examples of how I've always had to do things differently. Well, as I started really, really making this phrase, life is meant to be lived, central to the way I do live my life, I started to look around and realize there's so many people out there doing the same thing as me. Life's not ideal, but they're choosing how they show up. They're choosing what they choose to accomplish with their life. You can't choose your circumstances a lot of the time, but you can choose the way you show up, and you can choose your attitude towards them. I'm not saying be perfect. I'm not saying I've always been super happy about what's happening to me. I've had times where I have screamed at God. I've been like, why would you give this to me? Why is this my burden to carry? I've had days where that's just my attitude all day. But it's not the attitude I choose to adopt in most of my life. Let yourself have those times and then choose something more for yourself. Since high school, I'm now going to college. I've been married for 2 years. My husband is the biggest blessing in my life. He is such a cheerleader for me. Any girls listening that aren't married yet, find somebody that cheers you on the way my husband cheers me on. Honestly, out there, surround yourself with people that will help you live life. On our third date, I realized I really liked Seth. My husband's name is Seth. And that scared the living tar out of me. Marriage wasn't something I was supposed to be able to do. And I really like this boy. He doesn't really even understand the extent of what I have. While I was kind of thinking about this in my brain, I got a text from Seth. He asked me out for that night on our third date. I was excited, of course. Well, the text that he followed up with changed my life. He said, "Do you care if I come over 30 minutes before we go out? And will you show me your treatments and how you do them? I would love to learn about those with you." Coming from a girl that believed that there is nothing after high school, it was ground shattering. Well, he did. He came over. He even tried them on. I have pictures of it. I'll have to post them. Of him in my treatments. They didn't fit. I'm 5'1", he's 6 foot. Like, they did not fit him. He looks super silly in them. But that was just the start to the beginning of all the things Seth has done and sacrificed and learned because he loves me and wants to see me grow. And he wants to be on that journey with me. There's no reason to surround yourself with people that don't want to see you do that. Post-high school Molly is filled with hope. There is more to life. There are things to do and accomplish. And it's beautiful. And there are so many people out there that choose to live life. I used to come to my parents crying because I wasn't going to be able to do things the same way as everyone else. And that was devastating to me. My dad one day asked me the question, he goes, "Molly, why do you want to live the same life as everyone else?" I realized I don't. Not only can I not, I don't want to. One of the biggest blessings from my chronic illness has been that I think differently. There are different ways to live. There are different ways to accomplish things than the mainstream way. There's so much to life. There are so many options. And how thankful am I for that? Because of that is the reason I've been able to do all of the many things I've been blessed to accomplish. So that's really the reason for this podcast. Life is meant to be lived is meant to highlight the people that live life in spite of their circumstances. Life is meant to be lived is to inspire other people to think differently, to take their life, to do the things that you're passionate about. Don't let other people hold you down or back. Life is meant to be lived as a statement that's full of hope. And I'm so excited to share some of these people I have picked out, to share their experiences, to share the light in the moments of darkness. I'm so excited to curate a community around this hopeful phrase, life is meant to be lived. I'm so glad you're here. I'm not perfect at this phrase, but I strive every day to live my life. I hope you can learn something from these people that have had all these insane experiences. I'm excited. This has been a dream of mine. This podcast is me in the middle of living my life. I've wanted to start it for 3 years, and I let fear stop me. So in 2026, I took the motto, life is meant to be lived. I'm excited you're here. Welcome to Life is Meant to be Lived, the podcast. Life truly is meant to be lived.